Brightmoor kids, welcome back. And like we do all the time, we're starting off today with a game.
Woo! Yeah.
We got our contestants behind us. We got two teams. It's gonna be Miss Danielle, Mr. Josh versus Mr. Devontae in a jelly bean shooting competition. On this little stool right here, we have a pile of jelly beans, and then we have some buckets in front of them. And this is your guys' bucket, Josh, Danielle. This is yours, Mr. Devontae. When I say go, you're gonna have to grab one jelly bean at a time, and you're gonna have to throw them in your bucket. Whoever has more jelly beans in their bucket at the end of today's game is the winner. So I have a good feeling, even though Mr. Devontae is outnumbered, I got a good feeling he's gonna win, but we'll see. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, we'll give you a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 10, 9, 8, 7,
Oh my gosh.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right. Then you'll have. All right. We have a total. Very close game. But after some careful counting, we have a winner. You guys ready for it?
Yeah.
Can we get a drum roll, please? Today's winner is Mr. Devontae. Congratulations.
That's right.
That game started off pretty unfair, didn't it? I mean, you had Mr. Josh and Miss Danielle against Mr. Devontae, and it made it so that it seemed like there was no way, even if Mr. Devontae was really good, that he was gonna win, especially at the end when Mr. Josh came in and he just made sure that they had a whole bunch more jelly beans in this bucket. But it doesn't always actually matter what it looks like or if it's fair or unfair. It's actually more about who's helping you. When Pastor Drew came in and gave Mr. Devontae more of these jelly beans in here, it made a difference for him and made him the winner because of who was helping him. Well, the same is with the rest of today's lesson. We're gonna learn about a prophet named Elijah, who I think is a great man to learn from and the things that happened in his life. And specifically in this story today, where he went up against a whole bunch of people and it looked like it was gonna be unfair. But it's not about how many people are on your team, it's about who's helping you. And in Elijah's book, it was God. So stay tuned and let's go and check in with Sam the Snowman for today's Wonder Truth.
What's up, you guys? You know who it is. It's Sam, the Snowman. I'm back to tell you guys our wonder truth, and that is that God is the only true God. So, ladies, I'm gonna need you to stand to your feet, and you're gonna repeat after me. All right, 3, 2, 1. God is the only true God. Great job, ladies. Take a seat. Boys, stand to your feet. I'll give you 3 seconds to stand up and repeat after me. 3, 2, 1. God is the only true God. Great job. Everybody stand to your feet and repeat after me on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. God is the only true God. Great job, ladies and gentlemen, and that is our Wonder Truth.
Wow, word of wonder, woohoo! It's time for our word of wonder. I'm always so excited
excited to do this. I love it. I have so much fun. And I hope you guys do too. Well, with this, we have moves. So we did the moves the past couple weeks. So you guys should know it by now. So we're gonna do it. But you know, first, I think we need to stand up. So everyone stand up. Come on, everyone stand up. Come on. Awesome. And we're gonna do it like we normally do it. I'll say it and then you're gonna repeat after me doing the moves. And let's get straight into it. Be still and know that I am God. I will be honored amongst the nations. I will be honored in the earth. Psalms 46:10. Awesome, great job. Now we are gonna do it again, and this time though, we're gonna do it maybe with more, let's see, maybe like giants. Let's do it like that, so deep voices, we're giants. And I think while we do the moves, we should be stomping, okay? Can you stop? So stay standing, come on, and stomp for me, okay? And then we're gonna do deep voices. Okay, ready? Repeat after me. Be still and know that I am God. I will be honored among the nations. I will be honored in the earth. Psalms 46:10. Awesome! Great, giants. That was a great job. And we will see you next time. And that was our wow!
Well, my friends, so today we are going to jump in 1 Kings 18. Our Bible story is about...
Hey, Josh!
Well, hey there, Miles. What are you doing?
Just hanging out. What are you doing?
Well, I was going to talk to our kids about our Bible story, 1 Kings 18. Our Bible hero of the week is Elijah.
Okay. Well, I have plenty of time to listen to the story today, especially because I don't have any friends anymore.
Well, Miles, you're my friend, but why would you ever say such a sad thing?
Well, let me explain. Earlier today, I went over to my friend Jim and Tim's house. We were hanging out. It was all good. And then Jim and Tim decided they wanted to watch YouTube.
Okay.
But the YouTube channel they wanted to watch is the only YouTube channel my mom doesn't let me watch. It's called Professor Scary Hour. And my mom doesn't want me to watch it because it gives me bad dreams. So I told them, hey guys, I don't think we should watch this show. My mom would be very upset. And then they made fun of me and called me a baby.
That can be hard. Well, I just want to say that I am so proud of you. You know, you took a stand for God, and that can be so hard. And you know, as God tells us, honor our father and mother, you obeyed the fourth commandment, and you also protected your eyes, because what we see is very important. And actually, you have a lot in common with our Bible story today.
What? Who's our Bible story about?
Elijah had to go one against 300 prophets of Baal, and he stood up for God just like you did.
I thought it was 450 prophets of Baal.
That's even more, 450 prophets. So, I would love for you to sit down, sit next to me, your friend, and watch and pay attention to the Bible lesson as we get into 1 Kings chapter 18.
Can't wait.
It is believed that in the time of kings and prophets, there were schools of prophets who followed the great prophets of Israel. They desired to know the Lord and lead Israel in the way of God's covenant and commands. Many of these young prophets left home, family, and society to join the prophetic order of the anointed senior prophet Samuel after the dark and fallen times of Judges, a time when there was no king in Israel and everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Among these schools was a spirited and dedicated company of 3 young prophets in training.
What in the sand hills is going on?
It looks like a competition.
It looks like Professor Azar is really living up to his name.
What's his name mean?
To prepare for war.
Not war, my young prophets in training. Fire! In this class, we study the miraculous.
Whoa, that looks like magic.
Oh, that, young Liv, is merely a scientific demonstration to spark your interest in today's lesson. No, there is nothing magical about being a prophet. With Jehovah, all things are possible.
My mom says miracles have a powerful combination of faith in God combined with surrender and obedience to God. And the professor said, Jehovah is God's name, which means he is the one and true God.
Ethan, I think you're just the person to help uncover today's lesson on the power and wonders God performed through the senior prophet, Elijah.
A true account from the book of 1 Kings. Many years after King David's son Solomon ruled Israel, a man named Ahab became king of Israel. Ahab didn't serve the Lord. He was worse than every king who came before him. Together with his wife Jezebel, King Ahab led the Israelites to worship and serve the false god named Baal. Ahab turned away from the one true God and even built a temple and set up an idol to show how much he wanted to please Baal.
It's making sense now. Ahab and his wife Jezebel were on Baal's side, but who's on God's side?
It says here that God raised up a prophet or messenger named Elijah. Like most of God's prophets, Elijah had a tough job. He had to bring God's truth to people who didn't want to listen. Elijah told Ahab to gather all of the people of Israel and the prophets of Baal to meet him on Mount Carmel.
'Cause it's about to go down.
Elijah said, "How long will it take you to make up your minds? If the Lord is the one and only God, worship him. But if Baal is the one and only God, worship him." None of the people said anything. They weren't sure that God is the only true God.
But Professor Azar, how could the people of Israel not know that God is Jehovah, the one, the only true God, after all the promises he kept?
Sometimes, Liv, people will still ask God to prove himself, even after he's shown up repeatedly. What's next, Ethan?
Elijah issued a challenge to prove that God is the only true God. He told the prophets of Baal to pick down an offering on the altar. Then he told the prophets to pray to Baal and asked him to sit down fire on the altar to burn up the offering. Elijah would pray to God. Whichever God answered was the one real and true God. The prophets agreed to the contest.
This is going to be good.
The prophets of Baal got their bull ready and then prayed to Baal, but nothing happened. After a while, Elijah began to laugh and tease them. He said, "Maybe Baal is busy, on a trip, or asleep. You had better dance and yell louder." The prophets danced, prayed, and shouted, trying to get Baal's attention. They did this until evening, but nothing happened.
Now it's God's turn.
Yeah, continue, Ethan.
Then Elijah rebuilt the altar to the Lord that had been torn down. He dug a large trench around it. He cut up the offering and put it on the altar with wood. Then he told the people to fill big jugs with water and pour them all over the offering and the altar until the water covered everything and flowed out of the trench.
Okay, this part seems a little wonky. Why would Elijah put water all over the altar when he needed the altar to catch fire and burn the sacrifice? Water puts out fire.
You'll see, young one, you'll see.
Then Elijah prayed, "Lord, you are the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. Today, let everyone know that you are God in Israel. Let them know I'm your servant. Let them know I've done all these things because you commanded me to. Answer me, Lord, answer me. Then these people will know that you are the one and only God. They'll know that you are turning their hearts back to you again." And then guess what happened?
What?
God sent fire from heaven that burned up the offering, the wood, the altar, the dirt, and all of the water in the trench.
Imagine how hot the fire must have been to dry up a trench of water. That's not magic, that's a miracle.
When all the people saw fire fall from heaven, they were terrified. They fell on their faces and said, "The Lord is the one and only God. The Lord is the one and only God."
Baal 0? God Lord over all.
You know, we may not be tempted to worship false gods like Baal, but we may be tempted to put some things and people in our lives ahead of God.
That's a hard truth, Sarah. That's why we need to constantly be reminded that God alone is most worth our time, love, and attention.
You're right, Professor. Just like God showed Elijah and the people of Israel his great power, there are miracles that reminds us daily that God is the only true God.
Hey, in today's Bible story, we see the prophet Elijah go up against 450 prophets of Baal in order to prove that we serve the one and only true God. But there's also some other takeaways that we learned from today's story, and we're going to explain those right now. So check out 3 takeaways that we can learn from today's Bible lesson. Start now.
Our first takeaway is when we have God, we are never alone. Do you guys know that phrase, there's power in the numbers? Pretty much meaning when there's a group of people, there's more power in that group. So usually when there's a big group, they can win against a smaller group normally. But in this case, in this story about Elijah, actually, it's kind of the other way around. And it is super cool to see that. So with this story, Elijah challenged the other prophets of Baal, so a different god, to a deity duel. So pretty much saying, hey, we're gonna challenge both of our gods. Which one is the one true God? And that's what Elijah was challenging these other prophets to do. So the challenge is that they were gonna get a bull and put it on an altar, and then they were gonna pray and call out to their gods. Whoever's God put down fire and just evaporated the bull, their God was the one true God. And so with that, Elijah was like, here, you can go. And the thing is with this, there was 450 other people. So the prophets that were not representing God, they were representing a god named Baal. There was 450, and it was just one Elijah, just one of him. And so with that, he was like, you can go first. So they prayed and they prayed and they prayed. And do you know what happened? Nothing happened. And they tried everything they could to get their God to put fire down on that bull, and nothing happened. And the thing is with this, it's super cool to see that there was so many of them, and it looked like Elijah was alone. But was he truly alone? No, he wasn't alone, because if you have Jesus in your heart, you're always with God, and God was with Elijah there, and we always have victory with God.
Takeaway number 2 is that God is worthy of our worship. In today's story, we see God perform a miraculous miracle that made everybody in the land look at God and say, hey, you know what? God is worthy of worship. But, in our lives, we don't necessarily see fire get called down from heaven. But when we look around, we can see that God is active in our lives and he's worthy of worship. James 1:17 tells us that every good and perfect gift comes from above, meaning that the good things in our life aren't just happenstance. They don't happen by chance. It's not coincidence or luck. It is a result of a God that loves us, that is giving those things to us and allowing those things to happen to us. That right there is a reason why we should worship God.
Takeaway number 3, being different isn't a bad thing. In most cases when it comes to the Bible, being different was actually a good thing. Because in Elijah's case, he was standing up for God when nobody else was. It tells us in 1 Kings 18 that Elijah says, I'm the Lord's only prophet left, when Baal had 450 prophets left. Now he was up against amazing odds, and to be the only one up against that, it can be scary. And we know that Elijah was the only one that was different, but he stood up for the Lord. And it's okay to be different. God calls us to be different, because we see in Romans 12:2 that Paul tells us not to be conformed to the images of this world and the things that the world has for us. Paul calls us to be different for Christ. welcome back to our Rewind Review. I'm here with both of our hunts. We have hunt number 1, Miss Danielle.
Oh, I'm on number 1.
We have hunt number 2 because Jesus said the first should be last and last should be first, and the last means it's gonna be the first, which means she's probably gonna win. Pastor Elizabeth.
Oh.
So I'm getting fired. All right,
So confuzzled.
we are gonna go through our
Me too.
questions. I would love for you guys to go along with them with us. Let's do it.
Okay.
Question number 1, my ladies. How many prophets of Baal were in the land?
450.
450. Some really handsome dude said 300 earlier, but don't listen to that. It's 450. Number 2. How many prophets of God were in the land?
1.
Ooh, Miss Danielle's on a streak. Please change this so she doesn't win 3 games in a row. Number 3. Who was the only prophet of God?
Elijah. Or that time, yes.
It is Elijah. All right, how are you guys doing? You guys doing well? Question number 4.
Keep it up.
What did Elijah want to do in order to find out who the true God was?
He wanted to do a showdown between the other prophets and him.
Yep.
Did.
The prophets of Baal.
Yep.
Amen. Number 5. What was the true God supposed to do in order to show that he was real?
Oh,
I have a pinky. He was to come and with fire and consume the water, but not only did he do that, but he did something greater. He consumed everything around it, as well as burned some people too.
He did. Little toasted marshmallows.
Yeah.
Number 6. It was 3-2.
Alright.
Who went first in the contest?
Oh, I know this. I'm slow.
The prophets of Baal.
He did.
Yep, the prophets of Baal.
Did Baal answer his prophet's prayers?
No.
He did not. Number 8. Did God answer Elijah's prayer?
Yes.
He did.
Yes,
God
he did.
always answers our prayers. Now, it is 4-4. Cast your votes in now. Voting closes soon. Who do you think's gonna win? We have a hunt versus a hunt. Who knows? I maybe hunt. We're all hunts. Number 9. What is the one truth for today?
God is the only God? Or something around that line.
Close.
No, it
That's
was
very, very
God,
close.
Or something is
God.
Oh, God is the true God. God is the true God.
Close.
God is
God is the only true God.
Okay, I don't know what to do here because you got it, but you also didn't let me say anything.
Because,
Which is
because-
true.
because I did
Which
the
means
buzzer.
Pastor Elizabeth should be the
Okay,
winner.
sure.
But
It's
it is close. Both are ladies. You know what? I will make an executive decision here.
That Pastor Elizabeth.
I met with Pastor Jamie
just
between
now?
the frames, and they have given both our ladies this victory because sharing is caring. We will give both the victory. But until we come back next week where Danielle is probably going to win again, I just want to say God bless, and we will see you next time. Bye.
God is the only true God. We got to see that from this story when it comes to Elijah on Mount Carmel. God showed up. He made himself known, and he proved that he is alive and well and willing to be there and be known. You know, that same God, he's Yahweh, our God, same one today. He wants to know you. He wants to have you know who he is. It's amazing. And I love that we don't get just something from the Old Testament, but also the New Testament. When because of Jesus, we get to have that relationship with the Lord. And so hold on to these truths. Remember the things that we learned about today and know that God is really powerful. He's got your back. And we'll see you next time in this series, Kings and Prophets.